Hey, whoever is coming in, surprise, I'm doing a pop-up live on today. Hello, 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 hello. Doing a pop-up live today. I really want to talk about consistency. I was going to do a thought of the day. So I guess this is a pop-up live of the day. So I'm not gonna, be too long on speaking about this. So, guys, speak to me as you come in. If you're coming in, if not, we're gonna just have to catch the replay. So, what's been on my mind is to talk about consistency. And I am such a word person. When it comes to always looking for a deeper meaning of a word. And God had really been talking about how much power consistency has. And then, looking up the definition of the word, brought up a deeper understanding on why consistency is important. So, just to give you guys just a little, what I was thinking about, I put, not too long ago or yesterday on my post about how, it's been almost a year since I've been consistent on this group. Amen. I've been consistent with, the PFME group, posting and, just having lives and everything, despite my discomfort. First of all, a lot of this is not comfortable for me, but I've grew into it. It's a little more comfortable now. So I'm just being obedient to God, and He's just telling me, you have to get on here, you have to speak more. People need to hear what you have to say. People need to hear what your thoughts are. People need to hear some of these conversations that we have. Me and God have some good conversations. So, and the transparency is definitely needed. So I've been consistent for almost a year with the PFME group, and I didn't really even look at the numbers too much, but then I turned around and the numbers had doubled. And I mean, it's not a huge number, which is okay, because I'm not goal oriented as far as how many numbers, because how many of you know that a page can have a million followers or a million viewers and could still be talking about nothing, could still have no substance. Some people can be consistent in having no substance. But he's telling me about consistency. And looking at the definition of it is being consistent means you are in agreement. So if we are not consistent in things that God has told us to do, God has put in our spirits to do, if we're not consistent, that means we're not in agreement. We're not in agreement. So if you find it hard, it's just that I'm not agreeing with this. Basically, that's what you're saying when you're not consistent. I'm not in agreement with this. But when you're consistent, that means you're in agreement. That means, you're agreeing accordant, compatible, not self-contradictory. And this means you're holding together, you're cohering. So that means when you're consistent, that means I'm holding this together and I'm in agreement. So just think about it in perspective. If God told you to do something and you're not consistent with it, you're not in an agreement with it. And when you are in agreement with something, consistency isn't so hard. You don't have to force consistency. Ultimately, it will become natural to you. Like with these lives that I do on Monday, thought of the days, or, that's kind of random. That's not planned. But, but the lives, it's like, now I done it so much, I have to do it. So that means I have finally came out of that uncomfortable area, and now I am in agreement with God's plan. I am in agreement, with God's plan. So, uh-oh. Let me, I'm working, y'all. I just wanted to say that was like really quick for me to say. I just wanted to hop on here. I didn't want to do a video. And then, I didn't feel like messing with all that stuff today. But, I just want you guys to get that in your spirit. If you're not consistent with something, that means that you're not in agreement. So what do you do after that? If you're not consistent, find out why. Find out why you're not. You can say, well, I'm a procrastinator. Some things may not even be for you to do. So that could be an answer right there. In some cases, you're not consistent because it may not be your assignment. It may not be, for you to do. So I just want everyone to think about that, and to, consistency doesn't have to be that hard when you will be consistent when you agree. I keep on saying that. God must really be trying to reiterate that to somebody, to really change your mindset about why you can't be consistent. And you make time for what you are in agreement with. Your job, if you go to your job every day and, you're concerned about, you're worried about getting fired, or you're consistent about getting that money. You're in agreement, with, I have to work, I have to punch in because I have to get this money. So, when it comes to your assignment, that book that God wants you to write, that, even a live, that podcast He wants you to start, the blogging He wants you to start, the crafting, the hair, business, or, accessories, anything that He has told you to do and you have not been consistent in, is because you're not in agreement. So, I just want to say that. Like I said, I wasn't going to be on here long. This is not a traditional, way that I would come on here, but I was just wanting to say that somebody needs this, to hear this, and get a different perspective. I love to give people a different perspective on, what it means. Sometimes we can say a word so much. We can say consistency. Well, I need more consistency. What you're saying is, I'm not in agreement with this. When you're saying I'm not consistent, that means I'm not in agreement. Hey, Janiyah. So, just think about that. I'm about to jump off in a little bit, Janiyah. I just came on to talk about consistency. About, when you're not consistent with something, that means you're not in agreement. That is what consistent, the definition, means. In the dictionary, it means agreeing. So if you're not consistent, you're not agreeing. Like something, your flesh is rebelling against it. Your flesh is rebelling against being consistent because you don't agree with it. Ain't that simple? You said came in right on time. Somebody needed this, Janiyah. I'm like, I keep on saying that, and it's like I feel like I'm just like keep on saying the same thing, but consistent. You're not in agreement. If you're not consistent, you're not in agreement. And that just says a lot. So if God gave you something to put in your hands, and you're saying it's something, I can't do this, it's because you haven't agreed with it. Your spirit has not agreed with it. Yep, and that's good. It makes sense. I never thought of that. Yes, listen, when God dropped that nugget on me the other day, I said, let me look at this, the definition of consistency. And that's what the definition says: agreeing or accordant, compatible, not self-contradictory. Yes, it's rebellion. When you're not consistent, you're rebelling. Especially if God gave you something, you're rebelling against His plan. He told you to do it, and you got all these tons of excuses on why you can't work towards this goal, work towards what he has told you, because anything God puts in your hands is not just going to drop there. It takes work. It takes your agreement. It takes your consistency. It takes your agreement. Your agreement is your consistency. So when you're consistent, you're telling God, I agree with this. I love God. I love him. So me being consistent with the P of me and the lives and everything and adding on to it is because I finally came into agreement with what he wants to do with me. And once you get into agreement, the sky I say is too low. The sky is the limit. When you come into agreement, when you come into consistency with him. So I am just really just in anticipation what he wants to do with the P of me, because I have finally came into agreement. All right. So that may be what God is waiting for with a lot of you. If he gave you something, you know he told you to do it, and you're not consistent, I can't keep on saying that enough. Ooh, that must be a word. That means you're not in agreement. So once you become consistent, you're telling God, I am in agreement with you. And then once you do that, and once you come into agreement, then he can blow your mind. He can blow your mind. He can trust you because you've been consistent with this small thing. Now I can make you rule over many because you are consistent. You have come to agreement. You believe in what I have given you. All right. So that's all that I had, y'all. I really didn't have too much. That was it. That was the word. He just kept saying, just tell my people to be, if they are consistent, that means they agree with me. If they are consistent, that means they agree with me. And that's all. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this pop-up thought of the day live. Share if you think this will help someone. That's so good. Now I feel bad for stuff I've been inconsistent with. Girl, let me tell you, you got me all the way together. I'm looking at like, what else have I been inconsistent with? And I can go back to say, with a business plan, I struggled. I procrastinated. I was not consistent in constantly working on it. So when the deadline came, I was rushing, and I wanted to cry because I procrastinated, so much that I had so much work on my shoulders that was because of me. And that's because I didn't come into agreement with it earlier. If I would have been in agreement with God, the time that he told me to get started in this business plan, it wouldn't have been like that because, his yoke is easy and his burdens are light. If it's a hard burden, it's because we do it to ourselves. His yoke is easy. His burdens are light. So that means he has a time frame for us to do things. And it becomes harder when we don't become consistent. It becomes harder when we don't come into agreement. So we have to come into agreement by being consistent. And then, that work becomes easier. Not to say that you don't have to work, but it becomes easier. All right. So you guys have a good day. I'm going to leave for real. Like I said, share this if you think this is going to help someone. And remember, just be consistent. Consistency equals agreement. All right. All right. Have a good day, you guys. Bye-bye.